right?
Yeah.
Big deal. You don't go jumping and chasing after miracle people.
Right.
A miracle maker is not a big deal in Judaism. Miracles come a dime a dozen. We don't care. It's not important. The important thing is, did they follow every word of the Torah? Did they try to tell you something that's not in the Torah? Do they fulfill the 6 requirements of the Messiah? Do they claim to prophesize after the time that the prophecy is closed? These are the important things. Follow the rules. Don't get sidetracked by the hype.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what's happened is so many people get sidetracked by hype because he supposedly performed miracles. Right. And I'm saying, did he perform miracles or not? I say, who cares? Let him perform all the miracles he wants. Still doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
He's just Bilam performed miracles. We don't go chasing after Bilam. It's like, who cares? And the other one was, what about he fulfilled the prophecies? It's like,
he's the child of a virgin and he rode on a donkey.
Yeah, it's like, who cares? Right? It's like, who cares? Because what is that? I'm not going to get into, they love to try to get you into these crazy debates, like about Isaiah 53, and who cares? Judaism is not a biblical religion. This is something I have to address right now. Here's how Christians play their game. They define the rules on the best way that it can help them out. Yeah. So they say, okay, here's how it goes. There's the entire Bible, right? It's like their Bible with the Old Testament and the New Testament, right? And then they tell you, right, that your religion as a Jew is just take the New Testament away and you're left with this Old Testament. As if that our whole religion is written Torah, right? Yeah. I mean, this is just ridiculous, right? That's not our religion, right? Our religion is the oral Torah, right? We can live without the written Torah. That's got nothing to do with Judaism. Judaism is the oral Torah. But what they do when they try to talk to you is they go, oh, that's just written by rabbis in the 11th century, and that's just a bunch, it's just a bunch of commentary.
That's human tradition.
Yeah, it's like blah 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 blah, and and they downplay it, and now they just destroyed the game because I can no longer argue because let's do this. Let's have a real discussion. Judaism is a Talmudic religion. It's not a biblical religion. We follow the Talmud. This is the oral Torah that was given at Mount Sinai. In the Talmud, it tells us, right, what we're supposed to do. It's the people who follow that who've rejected Jesus because he's not a prophet, because he's not the Messiah, and we don't care about what you, as a Christian, are telling us he fulfilled in our written Torah. Because we don't go by the written Torah, we go by the oral Torah. So what you think he did, or however you can explain these things and start dissecting, is really a waste of exercise to us. Because we don't go by the written Torah. The written Torah to us is like someone wrote something in code. Somebody wrote something in a code, and we have the encryption key, and you don't. And you're telling us, based on the gobbledygook that you're looking at, because it's all this code, of what it means to you. And it doesn't even entertain us, because we know you don't have the code to it. So you're trying to encrypt something that you can't possibly encrypt. I hate trying to get into arguments with Christians, right, about Scripture, right? Because it's an exercise in ridiculousness. Yeah. It's like they're looking at something that's encrypted, they don't have an encryption key, and they're telling me that they're right and I'm wrong. It's just like, whatever. I just don't have time for that. So that's what I want to say about that. Now, 2 more things. Can I say?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. One is, I want to say this, that when it comes to Christianity, hey, if non-Jews believe in Christianity, I don't have any problems. That's their business. As long as they don't try to preach it on the Jews, I'm fine. You know what I mean? I'm cool with it. It's fine. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. But I will say this. The Christianity fails miserably in what's called the truth department. And I absolutely believe it was never meant to be a religion of truth. It's a religion of faith. But there's not of absolute truth and knowledge. Yeah. Judaism is a study in knowing the absolute truth of why this world exists, how it came into being, what we're supposed to do, blah, 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 blah. Christianity is not like that. It can't be. Because there's a huge fundamental logic flaw in it. Yeah. And when you're sitting, your foundation is a logic flaw. Once you start off and there's something that's not true,
Yeah.
you're just building on top of it.
Yeah. Keep going.
You're just building on top of something that's not true. It's not
Yeah.
a sturdy house.
Yeah.
And here's my logic thing. You ready? Can I do a little logic?
Yeah, please.
I'm just going to say simple. For Christianity to be true, it requires that Judaism is true.
Yeah.
Because Jesus was supposedly a Judaism-following Jew.
Yeah.
If Mount Sinai never happened, as the Jews claim it did, Christianity falls.
Yeah.
Christianity only is supported up by the fact that it says Judaism must be true. But here's the logic flaw. Here's the logic flaw. If Judaism is true, then Christianity is false.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's a huge logic flaw.
Yeah.
I don't know, and there's not much more I can say than that. Okay. Now, the thing is, like I said before, how did Christianity, take off? Because they convinced people, right?
It was an easier way to get to God than by getting circumcised and observing all the laws of the Torah.
Right, because they went
and
to...
people wanted to get close to God, and this was appealing, and it fit very much with the kind of Hellenic pagan worldview that there was secret knowledge, that if you bought into this knowledge, that you could have eternal salvation, and that this world was really corrupt, but that there was a much better world to come, and that salvation would come from above, and that if you vicariously participated in the death and dying and rebirth and reincarnation of the God who came down from heaven to save humanity, then you would live forever with this God in eternal paradise. So what's not to like?
Right. And again, most of the people they went to were non-Jews.
Right.
Right? And here's the thing. At the time, I used to say, God, that's really weak that people would fall for this.
Right.
Because it's a cult, right? I mean, it's like, who would fall for this, right? So I'm thinking, well, maybe it's 2,000 years ago, I don't know. But then I've seen something in my own lifetime of recent, and it makes me think that this is all very possible.
I think I know where you're going.
Chabad!
Yeah.
They completely lost it, right? There are thousands and thousands, tens of thousands probably, tens of thousands of people who identify themselves as Lubavitch, who absolutely believe that their dead rabbi is the Messiah. It's really no different than Christianity at this point.
Well, at least they don't believe he's God.
Not necessarily. There are those who believe that he is the embodiment of God. The Rebbe was the essence, the Atzmus in a goof. He was the essence of God in a body. It's actually in a Sikha that the Lubavitcher Rebbe wrote, said about his the former Rebbe, who was his father-in-law. That's part of Lubavitch literature, that they actually believe that their Rebbeim are God enclothed in the body. And it gets weird. You can go on YouTube, and you can find a very famous YouTube that came out at the time when it was in India. Remember this thing happened Thanksgiving time a couple years ago, where they were in Mumbai and there was
Oh yeah, the Chabad couple were murdered by the terrorists.
Right. There was a whole thing. By the way, it wasn't just a couple. It was 6 people in the Chabad shul. You only ever hear about the 2 because if you're not Chabad, you don't exist in the Chabad community.
Were they all 6 Jews?
There were 6 Jews in a Chabad house. 3 were rabbis. Right. But you only ever see the 2 couple.
Yeah.
Because if you're not Lubavitch, you aren't even alive, right? That's how Chabad looks at things. If you're not Chabad, you don't count. But if you go on YouTube, you can find where that weekend when these people, we didn't know the fate of them. So somebody who's very big in Lubavitch, right? Should I say his name?
Sure.
Rabbi Kunin here, who runs the West Coast, said, and was recorded live, and it's on YouTube, you can look it up, he said that, that